responsibility. So there's like 2 years to get this system in place, basically. And when it comes to policies within the European Union, they states that you should, the member states should collect textiles separately by 2025 at the latest. So Sweden is 1 year ahead here, basically. And here are some slides that Malin did, which pretty much sums up the presentation in English. So you will have access to this as well. So you have some English notes to follow up on as well. So that was just a brief thing about the previous presentation. Yeah, so we summarized the different focus areas for the chemicals groups for 2021, and we got a lot of inputs from those different discussion groups, meaning that we have quite a good list here of different topics that we want to focus on, and of course we want we'll continue to monitoring the development of textile tax, and if it's enforced, we have a lot of work to do in order to help you to prepare for complying to it and get deductions. Since there's allergenic substances is included in the textile tax, but also the allergenic substances are to be restricted in REACH, we think this is a very important subject to continue looking into, and we will do that by inviting external speakers, and also a genealogic study, which I will come back to. Yeah, and then we have this other topics. We want to follow the ban for the entire PFAS group. We want to follow up on wool treatments, biosolid products, of course, recycled textile and packaging materials. And then also we want to try to have a workshop on how to work with different kinds of suppliers, and also have a follow-up on new kind of dyeing methods or other kind of new textile methods and their risk chemistry. And one way to do this is through the meeting we have today, of course, but also we want to do this through a series of webinars. And I'm going to, yeah, so this is the first slide, which I haven't translated, but it's about, we're planning to do an analytic study in the chemicals group, and this is connected to both the tax proposal and also the allergenic restriction proposal. And we would like to look into the two sensitizing substances, cobalt and nickel, and see how common they are in different kinds of materials. We expect them to be more common in wool and polyamide, but we will probably ask you to send in materials connected from these material groups if you want to be part of this study. But this will be more, you will get a more formal invitation with better explanation on how this will be done practically in the future. But here's just a heads up that we are planning to do this. Yes, and now Stefan.
Yeah, exact. And I would like to invite you to 2 other workshops, and the topics came out of the discussion of our breakout rooms in the end of last year. And the first one will be about our database. So we have transferred and updated this database to our new website, and it contains a lot of information, chemicals, per CAS number can be are searchable. And the very good thing is that you can also make combined search. So you can, for instance, search after processes or materials. Yeah, and then you get a list of chemicals related to these materials that might be hazardous and relevant for your products. So the workshop is about to explain how does the chemical all database work. Yeah, how can you export an Excel file and how can you make use of the database. And we will have also breakout rooms to discuss some practical examples, how you can use it, and also new ideas for improvements, yeah, because it might be not perfect in all aspects, so it's always good to get your input to this. This is the first workshop. And then we have the second one, which is about alternative DVR chemistry. And it's about this aspect, okay, we have this nice to have function and the function of durable water repellency where it's a matter of survival. And the question is, in the introduction, from my side, a bit like, okay, where do we need the function? What kind of chemicals or chemical types are behind the DWR chemicals? And also look a bit into the different segments and user requirements. And there will also be breakout rooms and discussion from your experience and an exchange, because I think this is also very important in the substitution process, what kind of experience you made. And I think this is from high value for the different companies. Yeah. These are the two, the dates are already fixed. Yeah, this was a question. One will be at the 3rd of March and the other one on the 17th. And we will send an invite out as soon as possible. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, these are the two workshops, and yeah, I hope that there will be many people participating, and it will be hopefully very interesting for you. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Stefan. And important information here is that it will be done in English as well. Those two workshops, right?
Unfortunately, it will be in English, yeah, because I can explain the best in English.
But for this group, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yes, and Anna-Karin, do you want to present this slide?
Yes, I'm here. Yeah, we will also have a webinar about, as Mikael mentioned, the focus for this year will be substances sensitive, skin sensitive substances, allergenic substances in textile. And here is a question for you. If you are interested in something particular within this field, you can write it in the chat. But what we are looking into, it's me, Malin, and Elisabeth, who is working on this during the year, and we will invite presenters, or we'll invite, people who can give us some more background about the chemicals in the textile and also the underlying mechanism, what is actually the cause. So if you have any wish list, something that you might be interested in, or a question you have, you can write it in the chat. We haven't set the dates here yet, but that will come information later about that.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is a little bit of a trial to see if this is something that is interesting. We also presented this at the Swedish meeting, and we had, I think, 33 people that was interested in having this kind of crash course in dyeing methods. It's Ali Teherani from Aalto University that has how do you say? He can give a crash course in this. He had accepted this question or invitation. And if you would like to go to the Mentimeter, menti.com, and then you can use the code it would be nice to have some more feedback from you if you're interested. And in that case, Ali also wants to get some more feedback what you are interested in when it comes to these dyeing methods. Like, do you want to dig more into traditional methods, the environmental concerns, new methods, and so on? So please go in and add your comments there.
Okay, maybe we should let you look at this page for a minute so you can access the code.
Yeah. Let me see. It's, yeah, we cannot show the Mentimeter here. But comments from during the Swedish webinar when we asked this was like that they were both interested in traditional and new methods, environmental concerns, of course, the water issue, which comes to the traditional dyeing methods, for example. And Ali, I had a small email conversation with him, and he said that he would probably be able to cover most of these aspects.
Okay, so we also have an idea that we want to have a meeting on how to on more experience sharing workshop with the members on what kind of chemicals they find in their articles, and also how you handle that. This is also in the early planning stage, but so if you have any input on this or feel like you want to participate in this, you're more than welcome to contact us at the ChemGroup at ri.se. These are some slides which I haven't translated because these are actually things that are in English, but we have our colleagues at the Substitution Center, and they have they have funding and assignments from the government that they want to increase the knowledge and examples of substitution. They should cooperate and be a node for substitution in Sweden, and they should inspire and motivate the companies and public procurement and public organizations to substitutions of hazardous chemicals. And one way they do this is through having online courses. And here are an example of an education that they will hold in Swedish, which starts this spring, where you get a basic course in substitution. They've done this course 2 times before, I think, and it's gotten quite nice feedback from the participants. So if you have the opportunity, you might want to look into this in more depth. This is not something that's offered just to the members of ChemGroup, but to everyone, basically. We want to highlight this. They also have some more specific workshops and seminars on different themes. One is about the electronic legislation and the evaluation of the chemical tax. I think it's quite similar to the things we already presented in the chemicals group, but it might be interesting to attend that. And then they have some different workshops in for PFAS furniture and stuff like that. And you can all find information about this at their webpage. Yes, and I think I actually have lost a couple of slides that I would like to share with you. So I'm gonna stop my sharing here. Do you have any questions regarding these webinars? Do you feel like this is something you're interested in, or would you like to add another idea for a webinar? We are very happy to receive such suggestions. Otherwise, I think yeah. So the slides that I've that will list is that we have 2 new projects which just started that we want to just give you a heads up on. Just gonna share my screen. It's Hereware and New Cotton, which is two bigger projects with yes, sorry for this confusion. Now you see the presentation. So the first project is Hereware, and this is a big European project, which is a 4-year project, which just started. And our responsibility in this project is mainly the sustainability part, life cycle assessment and so on, but also the migration of microplastic release. And our contact person here is Anna-Charlotte Hanning. And the purpose of this project is that we want to have a local, sustainable circular ware. So you should like source material locally, and it should the bio-based material. It's quite interesting. It addresses bio-based polyester and also some new bio-based waste streams, and it's focused on like local production. And there's quite a big group here with a lot of different big European actors in the textiles sector. We will definitely come back to this project later on when they have any results to present for us. Then we have another project which is called the New Cotton project. This is a 3-year project, and the main contact person at RISE is Morten Alkhagen. Here we are also mainly responsible for sustainability aspects, and also including this in this materials in aquatics. And this project has a web page that you can look into for more detail. Yeah, I'm not gonna go into depth here. They have a new new kind of process here, basically, that they want to develop more. Another interesting thing is that there's have been a cross-industry agreement, which is a publication from a lot of different organizations on the research of microplastic release from fabrics, which you can access here. We're also gonna publish it on our webpage, but this is a good reference document if you get questions from customers regarding microplastics, because this is common standpoint, basically. Yes. So now we have some time left, and I heard you that I heard from I saw in the chat Isam that you had a question regarding the C6 regulation.
Yes, because I saw in your focus for 2021 you mentioned the PFAS whole family, which I assumed it's the 2025 regulation, or the discussion that's the whole family is gonna be banned for 2025. But we have something for me. We have a little bit more urgent, if you can name it like this, which is the current one.
Yeah.
We know that they received the comments, and we know that there is a meeting coming on in March. The question is, do you have an update on where we are at this moment, and what might be the next step for the C6 regulation?
Stefan, do you want
I can answer this question. So they have in the first meeting with the Committee of Risk Assessment in the EU, they didn't consider the comments of the ChemGroup, but they promised to do it in the second meeting, which is in March. So directly after this meeting, we will contact Chemi and ask them what the outcome is. Yeah, but it hasn't. Yeah, I mean it's February now, so it will be. Yeah, and then we can also have the possibility to ask detailed questions what the consequences is in these different segments that use the C6 so far, and what it could mean for the different product categories. Yeah, but so far I can't unfortunately give you an update, because there's no information. Yeah? Exactly. What we also will do, we are maybe, this was Anna Karin's idea, do a master thesis to the C6 materials in, for instance, in workwear, where we test a bit, okay, how much function do we need to fulfill the requirements in this list, yeah, to see a bit, okay, is it really essential use or not, to fill it with, with some data, yeah, because there's not so much information out right now how to fulfill this criteria of, for instance, high visibility. Do you really need the C6 or not? So we will also work in this direction a bit practically. Yeah.
Is this the comments that's going to be discussed in the March meeting, or
this is independent from this? So this is like a master thesis work that we would like to do, but I think the discussion with Eka and the Chemi reply will be towards what we wrote and the different needs for the C6 chemistry, and what they think will be regulated and what not, and what will be exempt. Yeah, I think this is will be the outcome of this. Yeah.
Do you think this is something we can influence? Is this something open for everyone to join this discussion, or is that something like really done in based on?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure about this, Michael. Maybe you can ask this.
Yeah, well,
answer this.
Yeah. We will contact Chemi, who are part of this work group looking into this. And then we already put forward a position already. So we already sort of have influenced it a bit. But I think we will talk to Chemi, and if they are happy to have a discussion with companies, we could definitely offer them the opportunity to do that. But it's more, it's a bit, this should be done through the public consultations, and what will happen now is that they will draft a position from these different committees, that hasn't happened yet. But when it's published, you also have the opportunity to comment on that position through like the ECA process. So you will definitely have the opportunity to do that. But like talking to Chemi directly, I mean, that could be a possibility, but that's basically up to Chemi. But we could definitely ask them. Or
I see what you mean, because what would we? I mean, you said that they will draft the position after all these committees, and then we can have a comment on that. And do you think the comments also can be considered for a second round?
Yeah, well, it should be, but I mean, I mean, it depends on. I mean, I think I mean, we did some work last year, and I think that was quite good that we did that, because it's also always better to try to give information as early as possible in the process. But I mean, if you have serious criticism on their position, I mean, that should be taken into consideration.
No, the idea is just there is this discussion coming and the committee coming, but I'm not really sure what kind of what do you call it, an overview of not only us but also other brands on how whether it's in the implementation or even the transition period. Or even placing in the market or selling items in the market that been produced before or after the enforcement dates, because that will make all the difference. Because even if we manage to be PFC free by 2023, does not mean the production state, that does not mean the warehouse is free of PFC. But we were just trying to think if we can, whether with these committees that is being happening or whether with comments on them later on, to make our point through. Not only with us, I'm assuming this also might be an issue for other brands as well. Do you think there is, I don't know, those had to be included in the loop and somehow? Because we know the comments have been published online, but there is like thousands of comments on this proposal.
I could imagine if we could have maybe a discussion with Chemi, because they know how these processes work, and then they could give some suggestions how to act in the best way from your side. So I mean, if they agree on saying, hey, we have a group of textile companies that are interested in a discussion, maybe they are willing to, because they know how this process works, and can say what they know about it. So
do you have a contact in Chemi, or is this just something I can just reach out for their standard contact people? Or
I mean, we have a
continue. We have a contact person at Chemi who is our contact point here. So I mean, I think, I mean, and it's not, I mean, the work of the committee isn't public until it's public, right?
Yeah.
So you can't really. But I mean, so it might be a better idea that we contact Chemi and see how what they can say, basically, because I don't think they. I mean, they can't really say anything officially, I would guess, before the work is published. So but I mean, do you feel that reading through? I mean, since there's been so many comments, I feel like I think these issues have been addressed.
I understand, but it just, although it has been addressed by most probably everyone is talking about it, but it just feel like a little bit out of control. It feel like we have a little bit not on control exactly what's happening, although they are working on it, but just feel, although they're working on it, to have the comments that still might come a little bit too sudden. Especially for, you know, like a maybe harsher transition period, or maybe a little bit better one to allow everyone to actually have a smoother conversion. Because apparently the conversion is going to happen whether or not there is a replacement for the C6.
Yeah.
If this is the case, but the question is not whether or not the replacements happen, is whether or not how do you transition? What about the what do you call it? The one that's produced before this comes into place, and they are not yet on the market. Especially that we work 2 years ahead.
No.
So this is for maybe fast fashion is a little bit more, easier, but and that's where this whole control issue comes here. Is that I understand that this committee is not public, but it's interesting to see, okay, what's the direction anyone is trying to pull this towards. And not trying to change the outcome. We're not trying to change the regulation, because we do think that the conversion needs to happen, but just to see how it's going to happen and how fast and in what road. But when do you think we will get the next update on this exactly?
I mean, when the meeting happened in March, I will directly, I can also send an email today that we will contact them after the second meeting, and because the members of ChemGroup are waiting for some direction, and just to clarify the urgency, and our contact also promised to do this, so we are actually in a very good contact, and they also appreciated very much that we had this kind of collective effort with this table to show the function and why is it needed, and not having 1,000 of comments. So they thought it was a very comprehensive way of communication that we have done, and they were very thankful for this, and also we're asking for this actually. So as soon as the meeting was in March, I will give an update, and I can also ask what's the best way. Maybe we can make a second comment from ChemGroup with your question with the transition. This will be also a possibility, I guess.
Cool.
Hi, this is Ellen here, colleague of ISAM. You're mentioning that the ChemGroup gave some feedback to this proposition. Is that right? From the members? Yeah. Do you have that document available that you could send to me and ISAM?
Yes.
Yeah. Because I would give us an indication on what the feedback were from members, and because what me and ISAM discussed here just a few days ago is that it's, of course, it's thousands of comments, but the two sort of main topics for us is, of course, the most critical one is if we're able to sell the products that we have on stock, and with this being a comment that's been raised, so as Isam said, we know that we can't sort of influence or that the restriction is coming, but we just want to see where it is and if it's going to be brought up. So if you could send that to us, that would be good, just to get an overview. And we're also checking with the EOG, the European Outdoor Group, to see if they have also any feedback that was given towards the Commission, which I think it was. So I will check with them as well. Absolutely,
we will send a document. It did not consider your question about the products in stock. It was more about general function. Why is it needed, and is it an essential application, and for which would be an argumentation for an exemption.
And is there anyone that we can ask about whether this question has been raised in the ECHA, or is that something that has to be done through more like a formal process?
I think, of course, we can, when we contact Chemie, which are part of this discussion, can ask them whether this question was raised with the transition period. This would be, of course, we can ask this question.
But you can also, I think, like looking at proposed the restriction on PFOA is a good blueprint for how it probably will look like with the transition periods, etc. Have you done that?
Yeah, and we see that, the way that it was done, but I think, it still will be a time restriction, but it's for us to actually start planning now. I just came out of a meeting now with workwear, and the level of stock that we have as carryover for many seasons is quite high. The way they sort of work on their collections is, as Issa mentioned, totally different than fast fashion. So for us, we're talking about years that we have stock in the warehouse. So it's
No, I understand that, but you also have for workwear, you also have a longer transitions period in the PFO restriction as well.
Yeah.
Man, it's still allowed to use PFOA to protect workers. But of course, this is a very important issue, and we will definitely come back to that. And I mean, these points that we raised there as focus areas, that doesn't replace our usual updates on regulatory news, of course. I mean, we will continue to do that work as well. So, I mean, any updates here, we will definitely come back to. But it's very hard to know exactly how things will turn out before we get public information about it.
It is, but I was trying to read up a little bit on it, and I was actually a little bit amazed of how unclear much of it is still. And it's for such a massive regulation impact it has, and it was for me so many things that was not settled. So I think there's still a bit of work to do. Yeah.
I think the regulators are not always aware of of all the processes. Yeah, so it is definitely good to make comments on this. Yeah.
And they have got an exceptional amount of comments here, and I mean, they sort of have to process that, meaning that it's hard to I would guess it's hard for them to say when they're going to publish their draft opinion as well. So.
Yeah, I was in and I was reading, and it's some pretty complex comments they got back from all sorts of NGOs, and stakeholders. So it's a big job for them. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you.
Any other questions? Otherwise, I would like to thank you for participating, and please book in your member visits for this year as well, because we're in a new year now, and we'll think that the way to do it this spring at least would be to have digital meetings.
Mikael, will you share this presentation? Or
yes, I will. I will publish it online as well, and also I'll send out an email to those who are on have registered for this meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so thank you, and have a nice lunch and the rest of the day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that's that was that. I know you are busy, so I'll sum up. I'll do a PowerPoint or PDF file and upload it to the website and just send it out. I don't think it's so many other things that we have to address now.
Yeah. It was a good meeting again. Lot of content in the end. Yeah? I mean, it's.
Yeah, no, that was quite an advanced discussion we had.
I mean, it was so much different things, and recycling and PFOS and flame retardants, and I mean, it's really quite. Okay, good.
Yeah, thank you. It was a good meeting again.
Anna Karin, I will call you later because I have one question to test the presentation with you, just the format that it works, because I have an important meeting today and I'm not sure how to.
Yeah, of course.
If it's showing the right way, you know. But it's,
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Mikael, jag tänkte bara på de slidesen från Kemikalieinspektionen om den rapporten som ska lanseras där. De kanske du inte ska skicka ut nu förrän den rapporten är publicerad.
Jo, men det fick jag till också.
Jaha, vad bra. Okej.
Så vad heter det?
Vad bra. Nej, jag ville bara dubbelkolla. Så,
nej, men allting är vad heter det? Trippelkollat.
Ja, men det är bra.
med kemi.
Ja, men det var jättebra. Ja, nej, men toppen. Tack för det.
Tack så jättemycket för era presentationer.
Ja, tack för idag. Bra.
Tack för idag. Hej då.
Hej, hej.
Hej med er.